What's good, YouTube? We are back with another reaction video, man. This is 10 unexplained conspiracy mysteries that are very creepy. We about to go to jump right into it. The original link to this video will be in the description down below. Let's not waste any more time. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of this month. And yeah, let's go to jump right into it, though. No cap, man. This should be interesting. This should be interesting. Why can't I hear it?
Conspiracy theories have been part of human culture for centuries. They often captivate society's imaginations and fuel such beliefs. Number 10. The non-profit British social science organization, known as the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, is shrouded in mystery and the topic of some outrageous conspiracy theories. The secrecy and mystery surrounding the institute has captivated researchers, scholars, curious citizens, and conspiracy-forming individuals. Aside from dealing with some challenging issues for the public's good and providing practical help for those in need, it's also thought to be responsible for social engineering, at least according to theorists. One conspiracy has stated that the controversial think tank has played a vital role in shaping the minds of individuals and the whole of our society without us even knowing it. This was a topic discussed by Daniel Estulin in his book Tavistock Institute, Social Engineering the Masses. He's an award-winning investigative journalist who's written various indulging books on the subject, which include Deconstructing WikiLeaks, The Invisible Empire, The Octopus Deception, Shadow Masters, and The True Story of the Bilderberg Group, another secret society that's mentioned later on. Further adding to the mystery is that the organization has found itself consisting of psychiatrists, psychologists, and sociologists, all of whom explore the dynamics of human behavior. According to the Institute, their initial focus had been on the trauma of soldiers who'd been returning from the war. Tavistock does not stand on its own when it comes to conspiracies either, as it's been linked to another notorious project known as MKUltra. A prevailing suggestion tells us that they're involved in mind control schemes and psychological warfare. These conspiracies paint the Institute as a shadow government that uses the organization as a front for top-secret operations that target and manipulate people and their behavior. Theorists believe that the methods that are used by the organization center around a subtle manipulation through propaganda and mass media. This allows them to condition citizens into accepting a belief or adopting a behavior, but they remain oblivious to such engineering. The alleged mind control is not unique to their London headquarters and is said to reach far beyond that. To shape the opinions of the masses and control the narratives, they assume control of large media outlets, according to the conspiracy, that is. It doesn't stop there, though. The Institute's hold on the media is also being used as either a distraction or a manipulation technique. These claims range from promoting certain news stories to suppressing others as disinformation circulates, causing much confusion for the people. The question remains, though, what was the aim? Theorists seem to have the answer for that as well, and point to the idea that they're trying to keep us as malleable as possible, while acting as the invisible hand that guides the world's politics. Followers of these theories believe that the Institute is making suggestions and eerily pulling the strings out of the public eye to ensure that the decisions that are made align with its agenda. Like the rest of the institutes, companies, and secret societies, Tavistock is accused of orchestrating national and even international conflict while engineering social upheaval and manipulating world events.
I've never heard of Tavistock.
Number 9. Who has heard of the Sargasso Sea before? This is the question asked by a confused Redditor named Bear Oak on the Mandela Effect subreddit. He explained that he was clued up with geography, would watch the weather forecasts, and knew a fair amount about maps. But strangely, he'd never noticed and never heard of the Sargasso Sea before that day. At the same time, some had denied that this even fell into the Mandela Effect category. And one person who'd been obsessed with the Bermuda Triangle since childhood had also never heard of it before that day. The sea only adds to the Bermuda Triangle's mystery, because it can be found on the western part of the Sargasso. Another Redditor, a big conspiracy theorist who studied the Bermuda Triangle and its connection to alien life, had also never heard of it. This presents us with the conspiracy associated with the sea, and there are a few. The fact that it may or may not be a Mandela effect only came into existence about 7 years ago on the Reddit platform. Another strange event related to the Sargasso is the seaweed from which it gets its name, Sargassum. This enigmatic seaweed chokes the water and floats about on its surface. After some time, it'll find its way to land, bringing havoc along with it. It was found that when the sun bakes this oceanic plant, it releases some toxic hydrogen sulfide and ammonia fumes. Theorists have named it one of the most haunted seas on the planet, since locals have reported phantom ships sailing by, possibly one of the many vessels to meet their demise in an effort carried out by the Bermuda Triangle. The theory that this sea and the mysterious vortex are responsible for disappearing ships and planes is only partially true, and it wasn't even featured in the top 10 most dangerous shipping waters. What makes the Mandela effect theory more prevalent is the fact that this sea is the one that's connected with the myth about Atlantis, which means that more people should have known about it.
Wow.
Interestingly, it's the breeding area for the elusive European eels, which no humans have observed spawning in nature. The calmness, along with its close proximity to Bermuda, only shrouds Sargasso in more mystery, while also subjecting it to...
Come on, man. Y'all comment down below. What do y'all think about the Sargasso Sea? Or do y'all believe in the Bermuda Triangle in itself about, planes going missing?
Conspiracy theories. Rosa Lee, a French merchant ship, had been sailing through the sea when she suddenly vanished, leaving no clues as she disappeared. She was found not long after with her sail being unmanned.
Wow.
A similar incident occurred some years later with the Connemara 4 yacht, which had disappeared into thin air once it sailed over the calm water of the Sargasso. During the 60s and 80s, more vessels were being found drifting on the peaceful blue that was littered with seaweed. These events would go unsolved until a theory was brought about by Professor Richard Sylvester at the University of Western Australia. His suggestion would steer away from the paranormal conspiracies and the notorious Bermuda Triangle. Instead, he pointed to the seaweed accumulation that centers in the middle of the Sargasso. It's here where a powerful yet relatively slow current circulates, forming a whirlpool that's theorized to extend deep into the ocean. Sylvester thinks that smaller whirlpools are also being generated and are traveling to Bermuda. According to him, these smaller vortexes are strong enough to rotate a ship or even drag a vessel inside. They can also create mini cyclones that steer aircraft into the ocean's depths. This conclusion is based entirely on a mere theory and cannot be accepted as an answer to any of the mysteries or rumors about the sea within a sea. Number 8. Shadows of Power, The Council on Foreign Relations and the American Decline by James Perloff, and The Illuminati and the Council on Foreign Relations by Morgan Fagan are only 2 books related to the conspiracy theories surrounding the CFR. It's said to be one of the oldest, but also one of the most influential American-based think tanks, after its formation in 1921. The main focus, quite obviously, is anything that is foreign-related. As the books may have hinted, the CFR has long been the center of conspiracy theories relating to the Illuminati, Freemasonry, the New World Order, shadow governing, and the North American Union. Unsurprisingly, it's also been linked with similar elite organizations, composed of high-ranking officials, including the Bilderberg Group and the Trilateral Commission. Carl Quigley has also used this organization as the center of his many conspiracies, which include that it's part of a secret Anglo-American elite society that once ruled the world. While the group is so incredibly secretive, this theorist was able to track down every meticulous detail of their history. Another conspiracy suggested that the John Birch Society, an extremist and isolated organization, is peddling the Council on Foreign Relations. Quigley is very well known in the conspiracy theory community, especially those who follow the one world government suggestion and the CFR's role in it. A writing called Tragedy and Hope by the theorist detailed that the Anglo-American elite secretly plotted to set policies for both the US and UK through a roundtable group. Of course, that group was the CFR and was somehow connected with the JP Morgan banking cluster. Quigley is the base of most of the theories that have come about and argued that before 1950, the Republican and Democratic parties were under the control of the International Anglophile Network, which is a system that shaped the elections. In a 30-page report, the theorist went on to say that the JP Morgan group was funding communists and other groups, but little did he know that he too would become the subject of a conspiracy. Sometime later, this report was incorporated into a book called The Naked Capitalist, written by Cleon Skousen, another conspiracy theorist. He claimed that Quigley was an Anglo-American insider who revealed his support of communist subversion. The short story was placed in the Congressional Record and took a controversial place with the Brigham Young University and the Mormon Church. The controversy was that the author's interpretations were twisted and erroneous. Theorists began to attack Quigley for his approval of the elite's goals, but they also used the information that he provided as evidence to support their views.
Yeah.
He thought that the influence of the elites had fallen away after the Second World War, and that in 1965, the issue had been that there was no responsible elite in charge. He's often spoken about an accompaniment with the writings of the Anglo-American establishment or the influence on Clinton. Regarding the shadow government conspiracy theory, theorists believe that the ones who are in control of the strings are not being concealed at all. They believe that the strings are being pulled by the intelligentsia of the CFR, whose aims, according to the theory, are to establish a unified government or possibly a new world order.
Hey, let me know in the comment section down below what y'all think about that.
A rather odd conspiracy theory began in 2021, and it was
Buttergate?
named the Buttergate scandal. The allegation was that Canada's butter had randomly become a whole lot firmer and could no longer soften at room temperature. The theory had done rounds on different media platforms, pointing out the sudden change in butter hardness. No temperature-controlled, peer-reviewed studies had been carried out to determine if the butter really was any firmer than it had already been. But still,
why is that a conspiracy though? Like, about the butter? What's so significant about that?
Everyone was noticing it. The stories were sparked when Professor Sylvain Charlebois asked if anyone noticed a change in butter hardness. Canadian cookbook author Julie Van Rosendaal had a similar question, which she posted in the Global Mail. She asked if anyone had noticed that the butter would not soften at room temperature. Sylvain's theory was not a lone observation after all. Soon, many more Canadians began to comment on the change. The observation came from nowhere, but hundreds of home cooks responded to the questions by detailing their butter struggles. Chefs, food experts, and hog-eyed bakers were all stuck at home during 2021, and they began to notice the changes, fueling the conspiracy of the changing consistency of the butter, which also seemed to be melting slower. It became harder to melt and even harder to spread, even if it was left out of the fridge. The food researcher theorized a possible answer for this strange event, and some food experts would support his answer. His suggestion was that the farmers were using palm fat and cow feed, but the dairy industry denied the allegation. The denial was also a strange occurrence, since palm fat and livestock feed is not illegal, yet they maintained that the theory was unfounded. The increase in palm fat was due to an increase in supply and demand. Charlebois explained that using palm oil in the livestock's food is a quick and easy way to increase the butter fat present in milk.
What?
After a couple of months of investigating the different textures, the signs did point to an increase in palmitic acid. During the last 2 years, there's been an increase in palmitic acid on dairy farms around the world because of a butterfat shortage that began in 2021. Due to this shortage, the farmers were pressured to meet the butterfat demand. While the explanation is currently just a theory, it's one that's been undergoing scientific research, and food scientists regard the use of palm oil as the likely culprit. In a published opinion piece, Charlebois said that both the dairy industry and Canadians do not deserve Buttergate, but pointed to the fact that palm fat is a legal ingredient. Number 6.
Why is it illegal though?
Magazine reports in 1989 in the Aviation Week in Space Technology had given rise to this conspiracy. The article pointed to a mysterious U.S. budget entry for 1985 of $445 million attributed to black aircraft production under the name Aurora. It did not refer to just one single plane, but a series of them. The conspiracy would become known as the Aurora Project, the creation of a top-secret aircraft that was in development since 1989, after the retirement of the Lockheed Martin SR-71 Blackbird in 1998. Reports supported this theory when they detailed that the company, Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, was looking to replace the Blackbird. In 2013, evidence of the existence of Aurora began to flood in. First, it was the frightening sounds that were heard across New York and the UK, which came just 1 year before Lockheed announced the development of a new aircraft, SR-72. An emerging research associate from Sheffield believed that the sound had come from an experimental jet engine that he called a pulse detonation engine. Enthusiasts also claimed that the sounds were likely from a supersonic or hypersonic source. This led conspiracy theorists to question where the source of the sound that rattled their windows and shook their houses had come from, which ultimately led them to the hypersonic spy plane, the Aurora. Theorists really believe that this aircraft exists, especially after finding out that it can reach a speed of Mach 11.8, but its existence has been denied by officials who say that no spy plane called Aurora is real or
what y'all think about that?
This response was not taken kindly by conspiracy theorists, of course. They began to point out sightings of a strange triangular-shaped vessel that an oil engineer saw. It was said to have a length of 110 feet and a wingspan of 60 feet. Based on the descriptions, some artists have also sketched what the plane may have looked like. It's also believed that the spy plane is equipped with air-to-ground weapons. A flaw with this addition to the conspiracy is that it would be far too heavy and weigh the plane down. Other enthusiasts suggested that Aurora would be used for reconnaissance missions. The internet is also a great place for these theories to circulate. Rumors that the aircraft was a hypersonic Cold War spy plane began to do the rounds, along with the idea that it was being flown by Americans in the United Kingdom airspace without the government's permission.
Whoa.
The plane was designed to be able to sneak at incredibly high speeds over the Soviet Union and take snaps to reveal what the enemy was up to. During the 1990s, there was a string of sightings and reports of loud noises traveling over Scotland. This event was attributed to UFOs, which brings in another theory. Aurora was said to be making use of alien technology and was born after the Roswell incident. The alien craft at Roswell was stripped of its parts and used in the making of the new spy plane. Theorists continued to maintain that this alien technology aircraft existed, even though officials denied the accusations. Later reports would come in of even more sightings of a peculiar vessel, and in a rare twist, confirmation by ex-government workers. The speed of later reports would come in of even more sightings of a peculiar vessel, and in a rare twist, confirmation by ex-government workers. The speed of the curious creation has been only a mere guess, and no one knows exactly how fast it is. Alleged eyewitnesses have claimed that the Aurora can reach 80,000 feet in seconds and perform maneuvers that no regular manned aircraft can. The question is whether the B-1 and B-2, the stealth and radar evaders, are the descendants of the theorized and enigmatic Aurora, which may or may not even...
How do you keep...
Bro, I've never even really thought of that. Imagine all the UFOs that we claim to see are really, you know what I'm saying, spy planes. That's T.
Number 5. Some of the best conspiracies come from the sports world, such as Deflategate, a theory that accused the New England Patriots, a football team, of using an illegal process of deflating the footballs used in the game. One prominent player who was said to be the reason behind the scandal was Tom Brady, the quarterback who preferred deflation for a better grip. For a bit of background on the scandal, before we dive into the conspiracy theories surrounding it, an unprecedented inflation check was called at halftime during the 2014 AFC Championship game, which was a 45-7 defeat of the Indianapolis Colts. It was during this sudden check that the National Football League believed it had found evidence of tampering. NFL footballs are supposed to be inflated to 12.5 and 13.5 pounds per square inch. According to Ian Rappaport, 11 of the 12 balls were all found to be just beneath the minimum requirement, with the last one being 2 pounds per square inch deflated.
Damn.
The officiating vice president of the NFL revealed that no pregame measurements had even been logged, so there's really no official record. Various theories relating to physics and temperature were circulated. It was soon found, according to a 253-page report from the league, that the Patriots were at fault, since Brady was generally aware of the plot to deflate the balls. Of course, he denied such allegations and argued that he'd not altered them at all. The same report pointed at Jim McNally and former equipment managers. It was illustrated that during 1 minute and 40 seconds, McNally had taken the approved footballs into the bathroom, which is believed to be the time and the place that the deflation occurred. The time spent in the bathroom is the right amount of time to be able to let air out of at least 13 balls using a needle. In his defense, McNally said he would often take the footballs with him before the game, but the report found no plausibility in the claim. Text messages also came about between the two managers, and he referred to himself as the deflator. But both of them denied any wrongdoing.
What's
during
that
the
white thing
interviews
that
with
Brady got on
attorney
his
Ted
wrist?
Wells. The text message was merely passed off as an attempt at humor because of the large media coverage that the Deflategate scandal was getting. One conspiracy blamed the Colts. Followers of this one believed that they'd framed the Patriots, and it was all carried out with the Colts linebacker DeQuell Jackson intercepted Brady's pass. He handed the ball off to a locker room attendant, who then intentionally deflated it. This theory was supported by the fact that the broadcast had cut to a commercial just as the linebacker had run to the sidelines to dump the ball. After that, it was unaccounted for. Jackson later said that he'd given the ball to an attendant so that it could be kept as a souvenir. The motive for this case was that it was a scheme hatched by the Indianapolis general manager, Ryan Grigson, who had suspiciously been the first one to report concerns about air pressure. But what would Grigson's motive be? It turned out that he was holding a grudge against the opposing team, since he'd worked in the scouting department for the St. Louis Rams, which had been upset by the Patriots back in 2001. Another conspiracy theory argued that Mike Kinsel, a former New York Jets executive and the NFL's vice president, had tampered with the investigation in an attempt to tarnish the rival team. There is a twist.
I don't know
or two,
about
though.
that.
It was he who was in charge of regulating the air pressures of the footballs used in the game, and he'd also been the one to intervene and inspect them personally once the complaint had been logged. This was supposed to be the job of the referee, not the vice president. And the third, but probably not final theory, is that the team had deflated the balls themselves as a distraction from even more nefarious behavior, like the illegal mid-signing of LeGarrette Blount, whose mid-season move from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Patriots seemed rather suspicious.
How?
All that remains is what the verdict was. According to the reports, there is no circumstantial evidence that connected Brady to the act against the NFL rules, but theorists still hold him as the orchestrator of it. Suspiciously, before the investigation was carried out, the quarterback destroyed his cell phone. The NFL would spend $22 million in investigation, litigation, and discipline for the next 2 years. Brady was suspended for 4 games, and the team would be fined a hefty $1 million.
Only 4 games.
And forfeited 2 draft selections the following year. Number 4. Yet another elite-run and Illuminati-linked organization is the Trilateral Commission, founded by the American banker David Rockefeller in 1973. It's headed by 3 regional chairs, including Europe, North America, and the Asia-Pacific region. An annual meeting is held and rotates between 3 meeting places. While it's a rather secretive organization, it's known that it considers reports and debate strategy. Headquarters can be found in Paris, Tokyo, and Washington, D.C. Theorists have often connected.
Hey man, that's T. I ain't gonna lie. That's T. I wonder. It raised a lot of foreheads for sure.
And the Council of Foreign Relations, all of which are considered part of the elites who shadow govern the world. Conspiracy theorists have also linked them to the Freemasons and the Illuminati. But there are other theories that one can subscribe to. One of them was the allegation by Lyndon LaRouche, a political candidate who thinks that the society is behind the international trade of narcotics. And another is that they're plotting to raise American taxes and siphon the money overseas. Evangelist Pat Robertson holds the theory of Freemasonry, but also links it to the occult and an entity that sprung from the depths of pure evil. Members of the organization, of course, deny these allegations and maintain that they're nothing more than a group that discusses world affairs. They seek to promote international cooperation and are involved in nothing sinister. This is not according to Pat Robertson's book, called The New World Order, where he speaks of a single thread that runs from the White House to the State Department, then to the Council of Foreign Relations, before reaching the Trilateral Commission, then through to the secret societies before it settles at what he refers to as extreme New Agers. Robertson also believes that there must be a world government, court, police force, bank, currency, and world elite running it all.
Damn.
Jim Tucker, like Robertson, also challenges the cover story and points to the encouragement of international cooperation. According to him, the members of the group are different from the types to meet up for innocuous conversations, and he views the Trilateralists, Bilderbergers, and the Council on Foreign Relations as a single elite system of globalists. It's widely believed that the Commission is plotting a one-world government. But it doesn't end there. Others have suggested that they're also trying to establish synarchism,
What's
a joint
that?
rule by the secret elite of Italy, China, and Hong Kong. A book called Among the Truthers, A Journey Through America's Growing Conspiracist Underground, authored by Jonathan Kay, wrote that Ruth Rudkowski was interrupted during a lecture by a former Trilateral Commission director back in 2007. He accused that and other organizations of orchestrating an attack in 2001 in an attempt to cause panic through which they would establish a new world order. The theory is that they're trying to establish such a thing through global government's promotion and
9/11?
diminishing national sovereignty. Trilateral has been accused of shadow governing with other elite groups, or is viewed as a mere tool for the elite to establish global control and manipulate the political and economic systems. The only addition to the theories is the exclusiveness and secretiveness of the organization, which appears to have an anti-democratic outlook. Like the various other elite groups and shadow governments, they're also thought to be controlling the world events for their gain, and are part of the larger web of secret societies. Number 3. Another doomsday scenario conspiracy theory of pure bad science is Project Lucifer, which involves the solar system's friendly gas giant, Saturn, and also Jupiter in this two-part conspiracy. This is said to be the largest conspiracy theory concerning NASA if you don't count the fake moon landing. Project Lucifer suggests that NASA, who's also part of the Freemasons and Illuminati, was trying to fulfill their wishes of playing universe creator by adding a second sun to the solar system. The Cassini probe was launched in 1997 on a 7-year journey to Saturn. It started with the liftoff of Titan IVB Centaur, carrying the Cassini orbiter, and its attached Huygens probe. The plot was that the organizations were looking to use this probe to trigger a catastrophic chain reaction within Saturn to establish nuclear fusion, forming a miniature sun. Cassini's mission was to be terminated in 2010 and was said to be carrying 33 kilograms of plutonium, making it a cruise missile directly aimed at a gas giant. The atmospheric pressure would kickstart an apparent nuclear event 2 years after the drop. But this was not the first time that the theory had come up. This was, according to theorists, previously attempted when the Galileo probe was dropped into Jupiter's atmosphere back in 2003. Galileo had collided with Jupiter, but not for an evil activity. NASA had to make the decision to terminate the Galileo mission by using its last drop of propulsion to push it at high speed into Jupiter. This would ensure that the probe burned during re-entry. The concern had been that the probe would lose control and crash into one of the moons, contaminating it and ridding it of all microbial life that may exist there. It was not long after that the conspiracy had found its support because of a dark blob that appeared close to the planet's equator a month later. A few observations were made of it before it had completely disappeared. Many astronomy, planetary, and physics enthusiasts have debunked the theories and have named it a terrible misunderstanding of the scientific field. The collision of Galileo had no long-lasting effects, and so theorists had to turn to Saturn, the Cassini probe, and the theorized incoming cataclysmic event. After the collisions, none of these planets turned into a second sun, and it was found that the plutonium Cassini was carrying was not weapon-grade 239 Pu. It was bits of 238 Pu, which are small pellets encased in damage-proof containers. NASA confirmed that the collision with Saturn was done to prevent the probe from crashing into Enceladus and contaminating it with Earth matter, so it was directed at Saturn instead. The two conspiracies...
That's interesting. I ain't gonna lie. I never heard of that before. Especially like they talking about different planets at that.
read strangely similar.
Project
because
Lucifer?
they were the subject of a novel and a movie, 2010 Odyssey 2. The correlation of dates can also be noted here. The novel, which focused on Jupiter, was written by C. Clarke. Black monoliths breed within the gas giant's atmosphere, according to the novel, which forms a large spot, increasing density and mass, to the point that it's able to sustain nuclear fusion. The movie adaptation ends with different views of a new binary solar system. The conspiracy of Project Lucifer is loosely based on the book, but instead it does not include the probe or the Illuminati. Number 2. The first
two
ever
more left.
Notorious Bilderberg meeting was held at the Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands, where it gets its name from. It was convened by Prince Bernhard and was a gathering of some of the most powerful politicians from North America and Europe. It was not as secret of society as the Freemasons and the Illuminati. Still, it had some high-profile attendees, such as Bill Clinton, Tony
Sheesh.
Blair, Henry Kissinger, Angela Merkel, and Margaret Thatcher. To stop the
I only know Bill
attendees from
Clinton.
sharing discussions that were held during the meeting and give it all the more sense of mystery, the Chatham House rule was used. Journalists were also blocked from reporting on them, and their meeting minutes have never been released.
Wow.
What happens behind the closed doors of this secret society has been debated for centuries and has given rise to many conspiracies because of the level of secrecy surrounding it. One conspiracy relating to Bilderberg states that the attendees are the ones behind the making of the European Union, the Iraq invasion, and the attack on Serbia. But such theories remain to be proven. Theorists have linked them to plotting a new world order. In 2023, one of these meetings was held, which took place from the 18th to the 21st of May in Lisbon, Portugal. The publicized topics of discussion were climate change, Brexit, cybersecurity, China, NATO, Russia, transnational threats, and Ukraine. This is what is meant by not so secretive. The elite society has an official website that discloses, quote, thanks to the private nature of the meeting, the participants take part as individuals rather than in any official capacity, hence are not bound by the convention of their office or a pre-agreed position. There were 131 participants from 21 countries
Golly.
across North America and Europe who attended the meetings. In two examples of just how much power this society holds, theorists point to the inclusion of Bill Clinton in 1991, before he became president, and Tony Blair's presence, before he became the British Prime Minister. Conspiracists believe that the organization is playing a kingmaker around the world. In 2000, Dennis Healy, a British politician who'd been part of Bilderberg for decades, said that the idea that the group was striving for a one-world government was an exaggerated but not entirely unfair analysis. He went on to say that the attendees felt that they could no longer go on fighting one another for nothing and causing so many people to become homeless, leading them to the inclusion of a single community being established all over the world, and that it would not be a negative thing, but rather a good implementation. Of course, this would only fuel the theories even more.
Yeah.
Bilderberg is placed into the same subject as the Illuminati and is thought to be acting as a shadow government. They have just the right amount of power to control the people on a global scale. Due to their lack of transparency, it's also really difficult to know what they're planning, hence the various conspiracy theories. The organization of elite politicians, business leaders, academics, and financiers has definitely attracted a whole lot of suspicion, especially over the past half-century. Theorists confidently assert that the members are establishing a new world order, global domination, or a one-government society,
We want our
which
blue
has
skies
slightly
back.
been confirmed. It's also believed that they have an agenda to impose a pan-global fascism or even a totalitarian Marxism outlook. Number 1. Richard Charles Hoagland is
Number
a rather
one.
prominent conspiracy theorist and the author of many conspiracies related to NASA, alien civilizations living on the moon, and the Martians on Mars. He's also a radio personality with a website on which various images from space
think I heard of him before.
supposedly reveal evidence of extraterrestrial life forms. Back in 2005, images from a Mars rover not only included pictures of space rocks, but also some household items that Hoagland believes point to a lost civilization. The item
Nah, the last one I want to definitely hear about for sure. If you made it this far, man, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're about to wrap this one up. I definitely want to hear about this last one, though, no cap.
were a bowl, stove, and strangely, a piston. He would later say that they were not implying that these objects were really there, but when one looks at them, one notices that they have remarkable symmetry. The distinction had not been made on the images, which have a range of captions, including, quote, a collection of mechanical bits, or, quote, an unmistakable machine fitting. He also said that he suggests that NASA do a close-up inspection and study of the objects, which they flat out ignored. Another conspiracy, also fueled by Hoagland, involved a picture taken by the Lunar Orbiter in 1967,
What's that?
showing a mile-high spire jutting from the lunar surface. This would be given the eerie name the Shard, and it was argued that there's no plausible geological explanation for the formation. It would therefore be artificially made by aliens, of course. The image in question shows the registration mark of the orbiter's camera, and just below that was the infamous Shard. Hoagland also projected the well-known Face on Mars conspiracy, which has done the rounds some time ago. The picture revealed what appears to be a face protruding from Mars's surface, and was the subject of tabloid headlines such as "Monkey Face on Mars."
Monkey
It featured
face?
in the conspiracy theorist book, The Monuments of Mars. The book details how a whole alien city is laid out on the planet's surface, which is precisely the precision of a master architect. It was also written that he discovered an artificial Martian complex built on Cydonia Planitia. The city is made from mounds and pyramids that are meticulously constructed in a geometric pattern. Another conspiracy branching from this one is that NASA covered up the fact that the face on Mars was related to these structures. Hoagland alleged that NASA had been the author of a report in 1960 called Proposed Studies on the Implication of Peaceful Space Activities for Human Affairs. Apparently, on page 216, there are instructions directed at NASA to withhold evidence of extraterrestrial activity on the Moon,
Wow.
Mars, and Venus from the public.
Wow.
Hoagland claimed to have also created a new form of physics that he called hyperdimensional physics, and inserted that it was a complete implementation of James Clerk Maxwell's 20 quaternion equations. But such ideas have been widely rejected by mainstream physics. His claims didn't end there. He would go on to say that he'd co-created the Pioneer 10 plaque, which had been designed entirely by Carl Sagan, Frank Drake, and Linda Salzman-Saga. Another related individual was Eric Burgess, who, along with Sagan, denied that Hoagland had contributed even a sliver of data towards the design. Yet Hoagland's now defunct website had boasted and credited him as co-creator of the Pioneer plaque. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads.
I wonder why he didn't want to be credited though in Hoagland's documentary or like his article. That's interesting, man. A lot of these unexplained conspiracy mysteries, there's some truth in some of them, but some of them may be kind of going over people's heads at the same time. I'm not too sure, man, but y'all let me know in the comment section down below what do y'all think about that. This is a very long reaction video, man, but I hope y'all enjoy. Original link to this video will be in the description down below, man. Give this video 5 to 10 likes, and let's get to 100 subscribers by the end of this month. No cap, but it's your boy Caprice the Great, and I'm out though.